Hello Year 2 and welcome back to your online home learning. I'm here to join you this morning for us to do some maths together. So I'm going to share my screen and we can get started. Okay, here we are. Hopefully you can see what I can see. So you have done some really amazing learning this week, revisiting your times tables. So revisiting the 10, the 2 and the 5 times tables. Today we're going to be moving on to something a little bit different. So before we do, we're going to warm up our brains by finding half. Now, have a think about what that means to find half of a number. Okay, now this is quite new for us, but this is something I want you to have a little go at to see if you can have a go at finding half. So the question is, can you find half of each of these numbers? We've got the number 8, 4, 6 and 10. And I wonder how we find half. Is there maybe a drawing you could draw to help you find half? Or maybe you could collect 8 objects and share them in half or split them in half. Okay, so have a go at finding half of each of these numbers. You might want to pause the video and we'll go through the answers in just a moment. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance now to find half of each of these numbers. So I'm just going to go through with you here. So half of 8 is 4. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 6 is 3. And half of 10 is 5. Okay, now we'll be exploring a little bit more later on in our lesson today of how we can find half, okay, of how we can share. And that's what we're going to be learning to do today. So today in our learning, we are learning to share equally. Back to that word equal again. We explored quite a lot a couple of weeks ago now. So just have a look at this picture here that you can see on the right-hand side. This is a bit of a clue of what sharing equally means. But just pause the video now and just have a think. What do you think share equally means? Okay, hopefully you've had a little bit of a chance to think about what sharing equally means. So you can see here, it's where we have a total and we're splitting it in between certain number of people or sharing it into a certain number of groups. And thinking about that word equal, well, I wonder if you can remember what that means. Okay, so that means where the groups have to have the same number of objects. So we're sharing equally so that in this picture, each of those children all get the same number of sweets. Okay. So we've got a picture here, a picture of some cakes and a picture of some plates. There are 2 plates and there are 8 muffins. Using objects in your home or drawing a picture if you want to, I want you to represent the cakes and the plates. This doesn't have to be cakes and plates. You might want to get 2 plates from your kitchen. You might want to get 2 buckets or 2 bowls. You might want to get 8 teddies or 8 counters or 8 cubes. Doesn't have to be muffins, okay? You represent them in whichever way you want. If you'd rather, you might want to draw 2 big circles on a piece of paper and get some cubes or get some small objects that would fit inside those circles, okay? Once you've got those objects ready, and once you've represented those 8 cakes and those 2 groups, those 2 plates, I want you to have a go at sharing those cakes equally between those 2 groups. Have a think about how you can share the cakes equally. How will you make sure both of those plates, both of those groups, have the same number of objects in them? Have a little experiment and see if you can share those cakes equally. Okay, now maybe you can have a go at this sentence to finish off. Blank cakes shared between 2 is blank. So think about first of all, how many cakes did we start with? And now this blank would be how many cakes are on one plate? Okay, so we're going to have a go at sharing these cakes together. So I've got my 8 cakes here and I've got my 2 plates ready. I wonder how you shared the cakes or shared the objects to make sure they were equal. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to give 1 to this group and 1 to this group, and so on. Okay, so count with me. I'm going to count up to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've shared all of my 8 cakes. There are no cakes left that haven't been shared. Now I'm going to look at how many cakes are in each group or on each plate. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So are my groups equal? Yes, they are. They're equal because each group has got 4 cakes. So my sentence would be 8 cakes shared between 2 is 4. And this is how we find half. We've just found half of 8. We had 8 cakes to start with and we shared into 2 groups. And that's exactly what finding half is, sharing into 2 groups. Okay, but let's have a think about this now then. So what about if I had 9 muffins? What would happen then? So if I added 1 more muffin, would my groups still be equal? So if I draw another muffin here, I'll draw it in this group here. Okay, there's my muffin. I've got now 5 muffins here, but I've only got 4 muffins here. So my groups are not equal. They don't have the same number of objects in them anymore. Okay, let's have another go at another question. So this time I want you to collect 20 cubes. Again, it doesn't have to be cubes. It can be any object you have in your home that you have 20. Okay, I want you to share these objects between a different number of people. So first of all, I want you to share these objects or these cubes between 10 friends. Now, you probably don't have 10 people in your home at the moment, so you may want to draw 10 circles or get out 10 plates or 10 bowls. And you're going to do just like we've done with the cakes, share those 20 cubes out into those 10 bowls or those 10 groups. Okay, once you've done that, I want you to finish this sentence. 20 cakes shared between blank equals blank. So this number would either be 10, 5 or 2. So 20 cakes shared between 10 friends, 5 friends or 2 friends. And then you need to find out how many there are in each group. So once you've shared your cubes or your cakes or whatever you want into your 10 groups, collect them back up again and then share it into 5 groups and then collect them back up again and then share them into 2 groups and see how that changes each time between the amount of groups you're sharing them into. So while you're doing this, I want you to think about for each amount, how can I share the objects equally? What are you going to do to make sure each group has an equal amount? How many equal groups are you sharing the objects into? Once you've shared the objects, once you've shared the cubes, are your groups equal? Do they all have the same number of objects in them? And are there any left over? Okay, so that is a challenge I want you to have a little go at now. Okay, we're going to go through the answers for each of those groups in a moment. Pause the video now and have a little bit of fun sharing out those objects. Okay, hopefully you've had some time now to share those objects into those different number of groups. And let's have a look at our sentences then. So first of all, 20 cakes or 20 cubes, doesn't have to be cakes. 20 cakes shared between 10 equals 2. So you should have had 2 cubes or 2 objects in each group when you shared them into 10 groups. Then when sharing into 5, 20 cakes shared between 5 equals 4. So you should have had 4 in each group. And then finally, 20 cakes shared between 2 equals 10. Okay, so well done if that was what you found when you were doing your sharing. Okay, finally for our practice then, we've got a little bit of a word problem. Tim has 16 bananas. He shares them equally between 2 boxes. How many bananas are in each box? Okay, again, you don't have to use bananas to represent this problem. You could use any objects in your home, but I'd like to see you sharing those objects. So 16 objects of 16 of whatever object you like, sharing into 2 groups. Okay, I'll show you in a minute how we can use a drawing to do this if you're struggling to find the objects in your home. Okay, hopefully you've had some time now to collect up those objects and to share them into 2 groups. And hopefully you've managed to find out how many bananas are in each box. I'm just going to draw my 2 groups here, okay? So I know I have 2 groups, I need to share my bananas into 2 groups. So I'm just going to draw some sharing circles. This will be 1, 2, my sharing circles. I'm going to change colour. Now I'm going to draw my 16 bananas. I'm going to do 1 dot in here and 1 dot in here. And I'm going to count up to 16 and make sure I don't lose count. Okay, let's count all together up to 16. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I'm now just going to count my groups just to check they have the same number, to check they're equal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 bananas in this box. Let's count this group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bananas in this box. So 16 bananas shared between 2. What does that equal? That equals 8. So 16 bananas shared between 2 equals 8. Well done if that was what you found. Okay, finally, let's have a look at our challenge for today. I want you to complete each of these sharing statements to find out how many in one group. And you're just going to do this either with the objects in your home, or you can draw your sharing circles out on your paper. Dora has 20 apples. She shares them equally between 4 boxes. So if you were to do this one, then look carefully at how many sharing circles you need to draw. If we're sharing between 4 boxes, then that means we need 4 sharing circles. And we need to share our 20 across those 4 sharing circles. Okay, so you look carefully at what how many groups you're sharing into, which is how many sharing circles you need. Okay, so you've got 4 different sharing statements there to have a go at. And I'd like you to write a sentence to tell me how many in one group. So just like we did here, 16 bananas shared between 2 equals 8. Here, I would write 20 apples shared between 4 equals the answer. Okay, so I'd write down what I'm sharing and how many groups I'm sharing into and how many in each group. Okay, once you've done the main challenge then, as a challenge X, Dora has 10 biscuits. She wants to share them equally at her party. How many people could be at the party? So have a think. There are different solutions to this. There are different options. Okay, so have a little think of all the different options or the different possibilities you can think of how many people Dora could have at her party. Okay, make sure you find the answer to this before you look at the answer I'm going to share with you now. Okay, so how many people could be at Dora's party? You could have 10 people, and each of those 10 could have 1 biscuit each. You could have 5 people, and each person would have 2 biscuits. 2 people, and each person would have 5 biscuits, or just 1 person, Dora, she could have all 10 biscuits to herself. Okay, so those are the options. Now finally then, to look at our fluency number sentence. 22 divided by 2. Now again, we're finding half of 22, so you might want to have a go at sharing 22 into those 2 sharing circles. So the answer to this is 11. Well done if that was the answer that you found. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me for our maths lesson today, Year 2. I've had a really super time. I hope you enjoy continuing with your task of doing lots of sharing. I hope you enjoy it and have a really great afternoon, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Goodbye for now.